Episode 20, Return to HQ. 3 days had passed since the siege. 3 days since the sky had burned red and the ground had shuddered under alien fire. Now the pack walked as humans again. Skin instead of fur, breath instead of growl. Though the wolf still pulsed beneath the surface, restless. The cracked road stretched toward the battered remains of HQ. Around them moved the survivors, soldiers limping, civilians pushing carts, children wrapped in soot-stained blankets. Every face was a story of someone lost. Everlyn led them. The Alpha's golden eyes glowed faintly under the dusk, her stride steady but heavy with the weight of command. Behind her came Kane, hulking even in human form. Lira, her crimson-tinged hair catching the dying light. And Kalen, the quiet storm, watching the tree line with those fierce red eyes that saw what others missed. The wind carried the faint scent of smoke and iron. Somewhere far off, a bird called. The sound felt wrong, a reminder that nature had started to breathe again while the rest of them still held theirs. "Never thought I'd see HQ again," Kane muttered, voice rough from disuse. He adjusted the rifle across his back. "Not after what we left behind." Lira managed a thin grin. "You mean the pile of corpses or your cooking?" Kane shot her a look. "Both, probably." The tension cracked for a heartbeat, a small ripple of laughter in a sea of exhaustion. Kalen walked at the rear, silent until she spoke, her tone sharp as cut glass. "Don't get comfortable. Quiet roads never stay quiet for long." Everlyn didn't answer. She didn't need to. The pack heard the same truth in the air. The stillness before something worse. By the time they crested the final ridge, the sun had nearly bled out of the sky. HQ loomed ahead, scarred but standing. Welded plates patched the walls, towers leaned at uneasy angles, and the glow of half-working floodlights painted the compound in pale amber. Everlyn slowed, her breath catching. "There she is," she murmured, "still breathing." "Didn't think the old girl had it in her," Kane said. "Neither did I." They moved down the hill, the convoy stretching behind them. Guards spotted them from the watchtowers, the moment of recognition sparking a murmur through the camp. The heavy gates screeched open, and for the first time in weeks, the pack crossed back onto home ground. Inside, HQ throbbed with weary life. Sparks spat from welding torches. Voices barked orders over the hum of generators. Medics hurried past, sleeves stained, eyes hollow. A long wall near the entrance bore new names scratched into metal. Too many. Kalen slowed as she passed it, fingers brushing the cold surface. "They keep adding more," she said quietly. Everlyn stopped beside her. "Then we make sure no one else's name joins them." The sound of a hammer striking steel echoed through the corridor, steady, defiant. A weary commander approached as Everlyn and her pack stepped through the gates. His uniform was streaked with grime, one sleeve torn and restitched by hand. He straightened when he saw her, exhaustion giving way to formality. "Captain," he said, voice rough from too many sleepless nights. "The Marshal wants to see you for a report. Says it's urgent." Everlyn nodded, expression unreadable. "Understood." The commander's gaze drifted to the convoy behind her. The civilians stumbling in, wrapped in fatigue and relief. "We'll get them processed," he said quickly, signaling nearby medics. "Civilians to the infirmary. Anyone wounded goes straight to triage." The order rippled through the courtyard. Medics and volunteers moved like ghosts, guiding the weary survivors toward the medical bays. Mothers clutched children, soldiers lowered stretchers. The smell of antiseptic clashed with the sharp tang of oil and steel. Another squad leader stepped forward. "Military personnel to the mess for debrief and rations," he called out. "You've earned it." The remaining werewolves, now in human form, peeled away, some limping, some silent, all worn down to the bone. For once, there was no bravado in their movements, just quiet endurance. Everlyn turned to her pack. "Kane, Lira, Kalen, with me." Kane's massive frame shifted beside her, his face still streaked with dust. "Marshal won't like our version of events," he muttered. Lira smirked faintly, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. Then let's make sure we tell it before someone else does. Kaylin said nothing. Her crimson eyes flicked toward the command tower, reading the tension in the air. The guards on the walls stood too still. The radio chatter was clipped, cautious. Something was brewing, and it wasn't peace. They followed Everlyn across the courtyard, past stacks of salvaged crates, burned vehicles, and makeshift barricades, until they reached the reinforced blast doors leading to command. The hum of generators grew louder. The air smelled of metal and recycled air. As they stepped inside, a cold blue light spilled across their faces from the flickering holographic displays. Inside the command center, the war was still very much alive. Only now it was fought on screens and in whispers. Officers leaned over maps marked in red, communication lines flickered with static, and a single symbol pulsed over the southern border: the Xarthians regrouping. A guard gestured toward a closed door at the far end. "Marshal's expecting you, Captain." Everlyn nodded, her jaw tightening. "Let's make this quick." Kane cracked his neck, rolling his shoulders. "Quick never stays quick in rooms like that," Lira smirked. "Then we'll make it loud." Kaylin's voice was calm, steady. "We don't need loud. We need truth." Everlyn looked back at them, her golden eyes catching the faint gleam of the command room lights. "Then let's give them both." They walked toward the marshal's door. 4 soldiers who had bled, burned, and survived what others hadn't. The metal doors hissed open, spilling light across their faces. The world outside might have stopped fighting for a while, but inside HQ, the next war was already waiting. Episode 21, Part 1, The Marshal's Room. The door to the marshal's office hissed open, and the light inside was too clean for a place that smelled of old war. Everlyn stepped in first. The room wasn't built for comfort. It was built for control. Steel desk. Reinforced walls. One cracked holo display that painted blue ghosts across the floor. The air was still, too still. And even after everything she'd seen, that quiet felt worse than the battlefield. Marshal Rourke sat behind the desk, broad-shouldered, face carved from stone. His uniform looked pressed, but the sleeve had been patched by hand. That detail told Everlyn more than anything else. There was no one left to iron out the war anymore. He didn't stand. He didn't even nod. "Captain," he said. "Marshal," Everlyn replied. No salute, no ceremony. Just the brittle respect of 2 people too tired for it. Behind her, Kane loomed, dust still caked into the lines of his face. Lira and Kaylin flanked him, silent shadows with eyes that carried too much fire. Everlyn didn't need to look to feel them there. She could sense them. Literally, sense them. The hum of their heartbeats. The subtle rise and fall of breath. It was one of the new things she tried not to think about too much. The gift. The curse. The thing that had changed them all in the burning night. Rourke's voice cut through the silence like a file across metal. "Door." The guard hit the panel. The hatch sealed with a heavy hiss, locking them in. "Report," Rourke said. "Straight to business. No, welcome home. No, good work." Just the word that reduced weeks of hell into a single command. Everlyn kept her posture steady. "We engaged Xarthian ground forces along the northern corridor. Civilian evac route collapsed after the refinery explosion. We held the fallback line until extraction." Rourke leaned forward, elbows on the desk. "Held," he repeated. "That's your word for it." Kane snorted quietly. "We're standing here, aren't we? That's a win by current standards." Rourke's eyes flicked to him. "Sergeant, you'll speak when addressed." Kane shrugged, the motion slow, deliberate. "You just did." Lira's lips twitched, half a smirk. Kaylin behind them didn't move, but her crimson eyes sharpened with that quiet, dangerous amusement she never voiced. Everlyn broke the silence before it could fracture. "Our orders were to hold the line, Marshal. We did. Casualties were severe, but we prevented a breach." "You prevented a breach," Rourke echoed. "With what exactly?" "You were running on empty by sunrise, half your unit unaccounted for. Yet you somehow held against a superior force. Everlyn didn't flinch. We adapted. Rourke studied her like he was waiting for the mask to slip. How? Everlyn paused. She could still hear the memory. Bone tearing. Fire in her blood. The way the world had gone silver and savage all at once. She could still feel the Elder's blood burning through her veins. But none of that could reach this room. We used what the battlefield gave us, she said simply. Refinery fire. Structural collapse. Improvised barriers. Controlled demolition. The terrain worked in our favor. That was technically true. The part she didn't mention, the part where they'd become something else, stayed buried. Rourke's eyes stayed on her. Funny thing, he said. The survivors' reports don't mention demolitions. They mention sound. Something like howling. Everlyn's pulse didn't change. Battlefield noise can distort perception, Marshal. Civilians under stress fill gaps with what they think they heard. His jaw twitched. He didn't press it, but she knew he'd file it away. He leaned back. Operational losses? Everlyn's voice softened, but her posture didn't. Lieutenant Harrow. Scout Unit Bravo. Fletcher twins. Civilians from Convoy 3. 5 dead before we could reach them. The rest made it through. Kalen spoke next, tone sharp and quiet. We've logged names for engraving. Her eyes dropped for half a heartbeat. The loss was still fresh. The pack had bled, and not just metaphorically. Rourke nodded once. And the enemy? Recovering, Everlyn said. Not retreating. Rourke frowned. Explain. Kalen stepped forward, her crimson eyes steady. We've fought them long enough to know their patterns. Normally, Xarthians attack in spread formations. Scattered. Unpredictable. This time, they moved with coordination. Controlled spacing. They covered their flanks. Pulled their wounded back under fire. Rourke's frown deepened. They don't do that. They do now, Kalen said. A flicker of something, concern, or maybe fear, passed behind his eyes. He masked it quickly. Everlyn continued. They're regrouping to the south. You'll see it soon enough on your maps. Rourke's gaze drifted to his side display. He hadn't shown it to them, but the faint glow of red markers betrayed what she already knew. The activity beneath the southern tunnels. He exhaled slowly. We're tracking it, he said, tone flat. We can help, Everlyn said. You can rest, Rourke corrected. 12 hours. Med check, decontam, food, sleep. In that order. Lira folded her arms. So we're on babysitting duty. Rourke ignored her. You'll make yourselves visible in the compound. The sight of you alive helps morale. Kane barked a short laugh. We're not morale posters, Marshal. You are whatever I need you to be, Rourke snapped, then caught himself. He straightened. 12 hours, Captain. Then we'll see where you're needed. Everlyn met his eyes, golden against his gray. Understood. But the air in the room had already shifted. The old soldier's instincts in Rourke could feel it, even if he didn't understand it yet. Something about this pack wasn't normal anymore. They looked the same, but they didn't feel the same. The human layer was holding. Barely. Dismissed, he said finally. Episode 21, Part 2, The South Tunnels. Everlyn turned, the others following. As the door sealed behind them, the low hum of HQ swallowed them again. Welding sparks, muffled shouting, the faint tang of oil and metal. The kind of soundscape that never slept. Kane blew out a breath. Politics, he muttered. Smells worse than the sewers. At least sewers don't talk back, Lira said. Kalen raised an eyebrow. Depends on what you flush. Everlyn's mouth almost twitched. Then a voice rasped from the end of the corridor. I'll be damned. That really you, Kane? Kane froze. He'd know that voice anywhere. It was the kind of voice you couldn't forget. Gravel shoved through a chainsaw. Low, rough, shredded by smoke and time. He turned, heart thudding once. Malik? A shape limped out from the shadows. Scarred armor, burned plates, one eye half covered in a stained med strip. The other eye, bloodshot but alive, squinted at Kane through the dim light. "Holy hell," Kane said, breaking into a grin. "You look like you lost a fight with a blast furnace." Malik spread his arms, palms up. "Furnace 1, he rasped. "But she's running rough ever since." Lira whistled softly. "You two share a stylist or just bad luck?" Kane threw her a look. "He's an old friend." Malik's grin widened. "Depends how you define friend. He owes me a week's pay and a new lung." "You still breathing," Kane shot back. "Seems I paid my debt." "Barely," Malik said. He looked to Everlyn then, straightening a little. "Ma'am?" "Captain Rhodes," Everlyn said. "You're with Heavy Ops, correct?" "Was," Malik said, voice dropping. "Now I'm what's left." Kane's grin faded. "What happened?" Malik's good eye flicked down the corridor, checking who was in earshot. "Not here." Everlyn gave a small nod, and the pack closed ranks around him. To anyone passing, it looked like an old war reunion. In reality, it was a perimeter. Malik lowered his voice. "South tunnels," he said. "Freight sector. We were running thermal sweeps, picked up heat under the old rail lines." "Xarthians?" Kalen asked. "Yeah," Malik rasped. "But not like before. This wasn't a raid. They were moving with purpose, covering each other, dragging their wounded off-site, protecting something." "Protecting what?" Lira asked. Malik shook his head. "Didn't get close enough to see. Rourke pulled us out mid-run, said it was being handled, ordered comms blackout, reassigned my team before we could question it." Everlyn's brow furrowed. "And the rest of your unit?" Malik's jaw tightened. "Gone." Kane's voice dropped. "All of them?" "Everyone," Malik said. "By the time I made it back, tunnels were sealed and scrubbed. No follow-up order, just silence." The corridor buzzed with the hum of generators. Sparks flared somewhere down the hall, brief orange light flickering across their faces before darkness returned. Everlyn felt the decision settle inside her chest like a coin dropped into water. Small sound, big ripple. "The marshal told us to stand down for 12 hours, she said quietly. Malik's mouth twitched. "You gonna?" Everlyn's eyes caught the light. Faint gold, like a reflection she couldn't quite hide anymore. "No." Kane grinned, a sharp, dangerous thing. "Knew it." Lira smirked. "Guess nap time's canceled." Kalen nodded once, all precision. "South tunnels," she said. "We go quiet. We see what Rourke's covering." Malik let out a dry laugh that turned into a cough. "Missed you bastards," he rasped. Kane clapped him on the shoulder, firm enough to make him wince. "Save the reunion talk," Kane said. "You're bleeding on my boots." Malik glanced down. "Then stand somewhere else." Kane snorted. "Still prettier than you." For the first time since the siege, the pack felt whole again. Tired, aching, but locked together. The wolves beneath their skin stirred restlessly, sensing what came next. Rourke could play politics. The base could keep its secrets. But beneath HQ, the Xarthians were planning something deliberate. Something human eyes weren't meant to see, and Everlyn Rhodes wasn't waiting for permission to find out what. Episode 22, The Offer in the Dark. HQ never slept. Even at midnight, the corridors hummed, welders hissing, boots echoing, the low heartbeat of a base pretending the war hadn't already found its way beneath their floors. Kane and Malik broke off from the others near the maintenance lift. The rest of the pack moved ahead toward the dorm levels, Everlyn giving the slightest nod. The kind that said talk, but keep it clean. The lift doors shut behind them, sealing the noise away. The only light came from a flickering panel overhead, painting them both in fractured green and blue. Malik leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "You gonna tell me," he rasped, "how you walked out of that siege with skin like fresh chrome? Last time I saw you, you looked like a man who'd fought a tank with a spoon." Kane smirked, rubbing the back of his neck. "Good moisturizer." Malik gave him the kind of look only an old friend could. Half disbelief, half concern. "Cut the crap. I saw the footage. You were torn up, Kane. I saw you carried out. Now you stand here without a scar, without a limp. Even your damn eyes look younger." Kane's grin faded. "You always were observant." Malik pushed off the wall. "I'm serious. What did they pump into you? Some Black Lab miracle serum?" Kane hesitated. The lift lights buzzed. For a moment, the hum beneath his skin answered instead. The thing inside him responding to the pulse of a predator held too long in human shape. He exhaled slowly. "Not a serum," he said. Malik frowned. "Then what?" Kane's voice dropped. "Something older. Something that doesn't fit in a vial or a file. We didn't win that fight, Malik. We changed in it." Malik blinked, confusion sliding into unease. "Changed how?" Kane stepped forward. His eyes caught the panel light, and for half a heartbeat, the dull blue turned to a fierce sapphire glow. Malik froze. "What the hell?" "It's real," Kane said quietly. "What you heard out there, the howls, the strength, it wasn't the fire or adrenaline. It was us." Malik took a slow step back. "You're telling me you're—" Kane finished for him. "Not fully human anymore." The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush breath. Malik laughed once, brittle and hollow. "That's insane." Kane shrugged. "Yeah, probably. But it kept us alive." Malik's gaze swept over him again, searching for seams, something to prove or disprove what he'd seen. "You don't look like a monster." Kane smirked. "Not unless I need to." Malik shook his head, a mix of fear and curiosity twisting his voice. "And the others? Everlyn, Kane, Lira." "They carry it too," Kane said. "Different degrees. Same bloodline now." Malik swallowed hard. "So what are you doing back here, Kane? Hiding it? Or planning something?" Kane didn't answer, because the air shifted. From the shadows at the far end of the lift corridor, Everlyn stepped forward. Quiet, unhurried. Her golden eyes glowed faint beneath the flicker. Not human light. Not machine. Malik stiffened. "Captain." Everlyn stopped a few feet away. "You asked what kept him alive," she said softly. "Now you know." Malik's voice caught. "You knew?" "I led them through it," she said. "We didn't choose it. But it's ours now." Kane watched her carefully. The alpha stepping out only when she wanted to be heard. Everlyn's tone stayed calm, but there was something ancient threaded beneath it. "You've been bleeding too long, Malik. Fighting too long. I can see it in you. The exhaustion that never heals." He laughed bitterly. "Welcome to the war, ma'am." "I'm not talking about the war." The corridor lights dimmed again, leaving only the faint amber glow of the standby strips. Her silhouette looked half human, half something else. "You've lost everything that anchored you," Everlyn said. "Your squad. Your place. Your body's breaking faster than it can repair. You stand in a base that doesn't even notice you're still breathing." Malik's jaw tightened, but the words hit their mark. She stepped closer. "We were offered something in the ashes. A way out of that decay. A release." "Release," Malik repeated, voice low. From what? From being prey, Kane said quietly. Everlyn met Malik's one good eye. It isn't easy. It burns. It remakes you. But when it's done, the fear's gone. Malik stared between them, the sound of his pulse loud in the quiet. And if I say no? Everlyn's expression didn't change. Then you walk away, and we pretend this conversation never happened. Malik looked down at his scarred hands, trembling, unsteady. You think I'm afraid of dying? Everlyn's voice softened. No. I think you're tired of surviving. The silence stretched. Somewhere above them, a welding torch sparked. The sound like a brief scream before it died. Finally, Malik looked up. What happens if I say yes? Kane's eyes glowed faintly again, like a promise or a warning. Then you start over. Everlyn extended her hand. You'll never be the same, she said. But you'll never be broken again. Malik stared at that hand. The hand of a soldier who'd seen too much, offering something both damnation and salvation. His breath shuddered once. Show me, he said. Everlyn nodded. Not here. She turned, and the shadows seemed to follow her as she moved down the corridor. Kane motioned for Malik to follow. As the lift doors hissed open again, the hum of the bass swallowed them, unaware that a new wolf was about to rise beneath its floors. Episode 23, The Eyes in the Dark. The tunnels beneath HQ were a graveyard of steel. Pipes hissed with leftover steam, and somewhere far above, the warbase groaned in its sleep. Kane led the way through the freight access corridor, his boots echoing on old grates. Everlyn kept pace beside him, her expression unreadable in the half-light. Behind them, Malik limped along, one eye hidden, one alive with suspicion. You sure this isn't the part where you kill me? He rasped. Kane snorted. If that were the plan, we'd have skipped the walk. Everlyn said nothing. The hum of the tunnels was enough. They descended deeper, until the noise of the bass vanished entirely. Only the hiss of condensation and the faint metallic heartbeat of old generators remained. When the corridor widened, Everlyn stopped. From here on, it's choice, she said quietly. No orders. You walk forward. It's on you. Malik's good eye narrowed. That's supposed to scare me? No, Kane said. It's supposed to warn you. He pointed ahead, to the open chamber beyond. Malik squinted into the dark, and froze. Dozens of eyes stared back at him, low to the ground, high among the pipes, glowing faint in shades of sapphire and crimson. They blinked in slow, unison rhythm. Watching. Waiting. Malik's breath caught. What the hell is that? Kane smirked. Family reunion. Everlyn stepped forward, her own golden eyes lighting the path. They're here to witness. From the center of the chamber, two figures stood motionless beneath a broken ceiling lamp. Lira and Kane, both human-formed but far from human still. Lira's crimson eyes gleamed, Kalen's hair shadowing her face. Her stance coiled like something waiting for the next breath to turn feral. Lira tilted her head. You brought a guest or dinner? Everlyn. A soldier who's done bleeding. Kalen's voice was calm and quiet. He volunteered? Curiosity counts, Kane said. As does stupidity. Lira chuckled as a slow smile creeped onto her face. Curiosity kills more than cats. Everlyn's glare silenced her. Malik looked around, every muscle wired. What is this? Kane's tone softened. Your second chance. Everlyn faced him square. You want release, Malik? This is it. But it will hurt. It will burn through every piece of you that remembers being afraid. Malik straightened. Then let it burn. Everlyn's hand rose, steady, deliberate. She pressed her palm to the center of his chest. The moment her skin met his armor, light exploded. Molten gold searing through the air, then bleeding into a furious, wild green. Malik gasped, his body arching as veins lit beneath his skin like lightning trapped inside him. He stumbled, choking, falling to his knees. The metal beneath him vibrated. Steam hissed from the walls. Kane caught his shoulders but didn't dare pull him back. "Breathe. Malik, ride it." "I can't," he choked, clawing at his chest. His pulse hammered against Everlyn's palm. His scars split open and then sealed again in the same heartbeat. Everlyn's voice was low, commanding, almost otherworldly. "Don't fight it. Let it take you." He roared, the sound deep, feral, tearing from somewhere older than his lungs. The wolves in the shadows answered, growls rising in perfect harmony, echoing through the tunnels like thunder under the world. Malik's body convulsed once more, and then went still. Smoke curled from his skin. His breath came in ragged pulls. The chamber fell silent. Everlyn stepped back slowly, her eyes dimming to gold again. Malik stayed on his knees, trembling. The charred patch over his ruined eye hung loose, half melted by heat. Kane crouched beside him, a grin flickering through the exhaustion. "You still with us?" Malik wheezed out a laugh that cracked halfway through. "You call that a pep talk?" "You survived," Kane said. "That's what matters." Lira folded her arms. "Barely." Kalen's tone was cooler, analytical. "He's stabilizing. Pulse irregular but strong." Everlyn knelt in front of him. "Malik," she said quietly. He looked up, sweat and smoke clinging to his face. Everlyn reached forward, fingers brushing the edge of the eye patch. "You won't need this anymore." Before he could protest, she pulled it away. Malik froze. His remaining eye flared bright green, catching the light like a gemstone under water. And beneath the patch, the ruined socket gleamed with the same impossible color. The light faded to focus, and he saw. He blinked hard, disbelief cracking through him. I can see. Both." Kane grinned wide. "Told you it beats dying." Lira's smirk softened, just slightly. "Looks good on you. 1.5 eyes." Everlyn's expression stayed calm, but her voice carried quiet warmth. "Welcome back, Staff Sergeant." Malik took a shaky breath, green light flickering in both eyes. "You weren't kidding about the pain." Everlyn stood. "Pain reminds you what you left behind." Kalen looked toward the southern tunnel, a deep hum rolling up through the floor. Movement below. Multiple contacts. Everlyn nodded once. "Then it begins." Kane offered Malik a hand. "You ready to see what your new eyes can find?" Malik clasped it, pulling himself upright. "Lead the way." The pack began to move, shadows sliding through the dark, eyes gleaming. Above them, HQ slept on, unaware that a soldier reborn was walking beneath its feet.